Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? We've got a really cool mix of sources today, kind of like a buffet for the brain. We're talking philosophy, we've got cutting-edge tech, and even a dash of spirituality.
It's interesting, right? It seems like all these different areas are all pointing towards a deeper understanding of like what this whole existence thing is all about.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the coolest things we keep coming across is this 5D model. It's like someone drew up a blueprint for reality, you know? And it suggests there might be way more to the universe than we can even see.
Think of it like a tapestry, like a big cosmic tapestry, but it's woven with five different kinds of threads. Each dimension is a thread, and they all kind of build on each other. You start with the ones we're all familiar with. Space and time, those are the basics, right? That's kind of how we experience the world day to day.
Okay, space and time, those are the threads we know.
Got it.
So what about the other ones? What are those mysterious threads?
Well, beyond space and time, there's this whole other dimension of just pure sensory input. It's like imagine all the data hitting your senses all the time. Everything you see, hear, touch, taste, smell. It's a constant stream of information, and that's the third dimension.
So basically, our senses are always pulling in information from the world around us. But what do we do with all that data? That's where things start to get really interesting, right?
Exactly. The fourth dimension is all about how we process that data, how we turn it into something meaningful. You could call it cognitive output. So it's your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. Basically, it's how we make sense of the world.
So like, our brains are constantly turning raw data into the experience of being human. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. But there's still one more, right? The fifth
Yeah.
dimension, consciousness. What does that even mean in this context?
Well, consciousness is kind of where it all comes together. It's that feeling of self-awareness, that sense of being an individual experiencing the world. It's where all the other dimensions, space, time, senses, thoughts, they all converge. And that creates our reality.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together, but hold on, I've got to ask about this. The sources also mention something about, like, even higher dimensional influences that can impact all these other dimensions. What does that mean? That sounds kind of wild.
Yeah, that's where it gets really mind-blowing. It's like, imagine there are forces beyond our comprehension that shape the very fabric of space and time. Like we're looking at that tapestry, but there might be an unseen hand weaving the threads.
Whoa, that's a pretty intense image. So there's this whole other level of reality operating behind the scenes, and it's influencing the world we experience every day. But how can we even wrap our heads around something that complex? Is there any tool that could help us unravel all this?
Well, one of the sources suggested something pretty surprising. Artificial intelligence.
Wait, AI. How can AI help us understand the 5D model? And what about those higher dimensional influences?
Well, think of AI like this super powerful pattern recognition machine. It can sift through tons of data, like way more than a human ever could. And it can find connections that we might completely miss.
Okay, so it's like AI can see patterns that are normally hidden from us.
Mm.
But how does that relate to, like, the 5D model or higher dimensions?
Imagine AI looking at data from all sorts of different fields, like climate patterns, social trends, even the human genome. And let's say it starts to find these weird correlations, things that don't seem connected at first glance. Those correlations, they might be hinting at those higher dimensional influences, those forces we can't directly see. Like AI could be mapping out the invisible threads of that cosmic tapestry.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're using AI to kind of peer beyond our limited senses to see the connections that are usually hidden from us. But let's get down to brass tacks here. One of the sources talked about this wild connection between quantum mechanics and something called ternary logic. It sounds like something straight out of Star Trek, but apparently it's a real thing.
Ternary logic, yeah. Instead of just zeros and ones, that binary system, it throws in a third state, a combined state. It's a way to represent the uncertainty that's baked into quantum mechanics.
So instead of something being true or false, it could be both or neither. I'm already feeling a little brain fried.
Right. It's like Schrodinger's cat. That thought experiment where the cat is both alive and dead until you look at it.
Yeah.
Quantum mechanics suggests that reality is kind of like that. It exists as a blend of possibilities, and then when we observe it, it collapses into one specific outcome.
Okay. I think I'm following so far. But how does this connect back to the 5D model? Where do quantum states and this ternary logic fit into this whole framework of reality?
We'll get this. If we use ternary logic to think about the 5D model, space could be our 0, time could be our 1, and then the combined state, where space and time are all entangled, that becomes space-time itself.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying space-time, the very fabric of our universe, could be thought of as a quantum phenomenon, like it's a superposition of space and time.
Exactly. And it's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it, because if that's true, then all sorts of events in space-time, from the formation of galaxies to our everyday experiences, they could be seen as quantum interactions between space and time. It changes how we think about cause and effect, and it opens up all sorts of new ways of understanding the universe.
I need a minute to process that. This is some serious brain food.
Huh.
And we're just getting started with this deep dive. We've got a whole stack of sources here, and each one seems to peel back another layer of this cosmic onion.
Right. And what's really exciting is that all these abstract concepts, they're actually connected to real-world advancements in technology. We've got some groundbreaking tools to talk about, things that are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
All right, let's get into it. I was blown away by all the different tools they talked about in these sources. Open source platforms, gene editing, quantum computing, even something called thermoacoustics. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie.
It's pretty wild. And these technologies, they're not just changing different fields, they're also making us ask some really big questions about, reality, consciousness, our place in the universe.
Okay, break it down for me. First up, what are these open source, no-code platforms? It sounds like they could really change the game, make technology accessible to anyone.
Absolutely. These platforms are incredible because they allow anyone with internet access to create and innovate. It doesn't matter what your technical background is, you can build software applications, websites, even complex systems without knowing how to code.
It's like having a virtual toolbox for building whatever you can dream up.
Wow. It sounds like these platforms could unleash a wave of creativity and problem solving all over the world. Okay, so what about this CRISPR-Cas12 thing? It's a gene editing technique, right? But what makes it so special? Think of CRISPR-Cas12 as this super precise molecular scalpel. We can use it to make incredibly specific edits to DNA sequences. It's revolutionizing genetic engineering, and it has the potential to cure genetic diseases, create new therapies, even transform agriculture.
That's some powerful stuff. Imagine if we could actually rewrite the code of life. But obviously, there's some big ethical questions that come with that kind of power, right?
Oh, for sure. We have to think carefully about how we use these tools. It's a huge responsibility to manipulate the building blocks of life itself. CRISPR and other gene editing technologies, they're forcing us to have some really serious ethical conversations. We have to make sure we're using them responsibly and for the good of everyone.
This is where it gets really mind-blowing because we're not just talking about technology anymore. We're talking about reshaping the very fabric of life. And speaking of reshaping reality, let's dive into quantum computing. The sources talked about these things called qubits. Can you explain what they are and why this whole quantum computing thing is such a big deal?
So qubits are the building blocks of quantum computers, kind of like bits in a regular computer. But here's the thing. Qubits can exist in a superposition. That means they can be a 0 and a 1 at the same time.
Wait, what? How is that even possible?
It's because of quantum mechanics. That's the beauty of it. And because of this superposition thing, quantum computers can do calculations exponentially faster than normal computers. It opens up possibilities that we couldn't even dream of before.
So we're talking about solving problems that would take regular computers millions of years. Wow. What kinds of problems can we tackle with this kind of power?
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing. Think about it. Drug discovery, materials science, artificial intelligence. We could understand the fundamental laws of physics in a whole new way. We might even be able to develop new energy sources or crack the codes that protect our most sensitive data.
This is starting to feel like we're on the verge of something huge, like a technological singularity. It's both exciting and a little bit scary. Okay, there's one more technology I want to touch on before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. Thermoacoustics. It sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
It kind of is, right? It's a super interesting field that explores the connection between sound waves, heat, and mechanical energy. Basically, it's all about converting heat energy into sound waves and vice versa. And the cool thing is, we can use this to create some super efficient and sustainable energy systems, like new ways to generate electricity or even to cool our homes.
Wait, so you're telling me we can use sound waves to power our houses? That's insane. It seems like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with thermoacoustics. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the 5D model, quantum mechanics, ternary logic, and some groundbreaking technologies that are changing the world around us. Where do we go from here?
Well, in the next part, we'll explore how all of these mind-blowing concepts and technologies are impacting our understanding of history, art, even the very fabric of society. It's going to be a wild ride.
I can't wait. This is just the beginning, folks. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into the nature of reality, where we'll uncover even more mind-blowing insights.
So as we, continue to explore this idea of reality, it's kind of wild to think about how all these technological leaps are changing how we see, well, everything. The past, the present, even the future.
Yeah, it's like we're getting all these new tools.
Right.
And we can use them not only to shape the world around us, but to understand it in ways we never could before.
Totally. Think about history for a second. Like the way we've always tried to piece together the past, it's been through, old documents, what we dig up and how people interpret it all. But now with things like AI and genomics, we're unlocking all this historical data that was hidden before.
So we're not just rewriting history, we're uncovering whole chapters that we're missing. It's like having a key to unlock the secrets of the past.
Exactly. Imagine an AI digging through mountains of historical documents. It could find all these patterns and connections that, a human historian might totally miss. Or think about using genomic analysis to track how ancient populations moved around. We could literally rebuild family trees that go back thousands of years.
It's like we can follow our ancestors' footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
understand their journeys. And that gives us a much deeper appreciation for how connected human history really is. It's incredible to think about how these tools are changing the way we view the past.
And it's not just about digging up facts, right? It's about reinterpreting those facts, challenging what we thought we knew, and getting a more, I don't know, more complete understanding of the forces that shaped our world. And we're going beyond this linear view of history and recognizing just how complex and interconnected everything really is.
It's like piecing together a giant puzzle, and every new discovery adds another piece. It makes the picture of the past more intricate and complete. But it's not just about looking back, is it? These technologies are also shaping the present and influencing where we go from here.
For sure. Think about personalized medicine, sustainable energy, artificial intelligence, even gene editing. All of these things are changing how we live, how we work, how we interact with the world.
It's like we're on the edge of this crazy new era where science fiction is becoming reality. But with all this rapid progress, we have to be careful, right?
Yeah.
We need to consider the consequences, both good and bad.
Couldn't agree more. We need to really think about the ethical side of all this. How do we make sure these technologies are used responsibly? How do we make sure they benefit all of humanity? It's about shaping the future we want, not just letting it happen to us.
That's a really important point. It's not enough to just be amazed by what's possible. We need to have some serious conversations about the potential downsides, too. For example, the sources talked about how AI and automation could lead to, a lot of people losing their jobs. How do we prepare for that kind of future? How do we make sure everyone benefits from these advancements, not just a select few?
Yeah, that's a real concern. We need to get ahead of it. As AI systems get more and more sophisticated, they're going to start doing tasks that humans do now. That doesn't automatically mean mass unemployment, but it does mean we need to rethink things like education, job training, and our social safety nets.
It's like we need to, upgrade our society, keep it running smoothly alongside all this technological progress.
Yeah.
Everyone should have the chance to thrive in this new world. Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute and talk about something a bit more fun. One thing that really caught my eye in the sources was how these technologies could revolutionize art and creative expression.
Oh, yeah, that's a really cool area. Just imagine AI working with artists to create these brand new art forms, things we can't even conceive of right now. Or think about using virtual reality to create these super immersive art experiences, like transporting people to other worlds.
It's not about replacing human artists with robots, right? It's about giving artists these amazing new tools to explore their creativity in ways they never could before.
It's a fusion of human imagination and technology. It's like expanding the canvas, blurring the lines between what's real and what's digital. Think about music created by AI, stories written by language models, even dances choreographed using motion capture technology. There are no limits.
It's like we're witnessing a whole new renaissance, a creative explosion driven by the merging of art and technology.
Mm.
But we can't forget the impact on society as a whole, right? All these advancements have the potential to reshape everything, our social structures, our institutions, even our sense of who we are.
No doubt about it. Imagine a world where healthcare is revolutionized by personalized medicine, driven by AI and genomics. Imagine education that's tailored to each person's learning style, transportation that's seamless and sustainable. We could create a society that's more just, more efficient, more aligned with what we value.
It sounds like a utopia, but it's not without its challenges, right? We have to be careful about things like increasing inequality or creating new forms of injustice. It's like we're walking a tightrope between progress and danger.
That's a great analogy. We need to approach all of this with wisdom and caution. We need open and honest conversations about the potential benefits and the risks. It's about making sure these technologies serve humanity, not the other way around. We have to think about the ethics of things like genetic engineering and the possibility of AI being used to hurt people or even destabilize society.
It's a tricky landscape to navigate, but it's a conversation we absolutely need to have. We can't just ignore it and hope for the best. We have to actively shape the future we want, and that starts with understanding the tools we have and how they could be used.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we have choices to make about how these technologies are developed and used. We're not just along for the ride. We have the power to steer the course of history and create a future that reflects our values and hopes.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's empowering to think that we're not just watching this technological revolution happen, we're a part of it. We're shaping the world we want to live in. Wow, we've really covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive. We've talked about the impact of these advancements on history, art, and society, and we've even touched on some of the ethical challenges they bring. What's next in our exploration of reality?
In the last part of our deep dive, we'll take a step back and look at the bigger picture. We'll explore the philosophical implications of everything we've talked about, these mind-bending concepts and technologies, and we'll think about what it all means for how we understand ourselves and our place in the universe.
I can't wait. This is where it gets really deep, folks. Stay tuned for part 3 of our deep dive into the fabric of reality, where we'll unravel the ultimate mysteries of existence. Okay, deep divers, we're back. Ready for the final part of our journey. We've gone deep into the 5D model, explored some crazy technologies, and talked about how all this stuff is impacting everything from history to art to society. Now it's time to get philosophical.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When you really start digging into this idea of reality, it always seems to circle back to us.
Yeah.
Makes you think about our place in the universe and what it even means to be human.
Totally. It's like the more we learn about the universe, the more we realize how much we don't know about ourselves. So where do we even start with all these philosophical questions?
Well, I think one of the most fundamental questions is about consciousness. What is it? Where does it come from? Is it just our brains doing their thing, or is there something more going on?
When we were talking about the 5D model, that whole idea of consciousness being the fifth dimension, that really stuck with me. It's like maybe consciousness isn't just something that happens inside our heads. Maybe it's like a fundamental part of reality itself.
That's a really profound idea. It challenges that whole idea of consciousness just being a byproduct of material stuff. It suggests that consciousness could be a basic property of the universe, just like space and time.
Oh. So if consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, what does that mean for how we understand reality? Does that mean the universe is, in some way, aware of itself?
That's a question that's been around for ages. Philosophers, physicists, they've been wrestling with that one for centuries. Some theories say consciousness is like a universal field that's everywhere, while others say it comes from complex systems, like our brains.
It's like we're trying to grab onto something that we can't even fully grasp,
Yeah.
trying to define something that might be impossible to define. But that's part of what makes this so interesting, right? Chasing these big questions, even if we never find the answers.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you throw AI into the mix. Like if we can build machines that seem intelligent, does that mean they're conscious too? And if so, how should we treat them? It's a big ethical question.
It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's becoming a real issue we have to deal with. If we create machines that can think and feel, do they deserve the same rights as humans?
That's a debate that's just going to keep getting bigger as AI gets more advanced. It makes us think about what it really means to be human, what consciousness is, and how we should treat the things we create.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. But,
Yeah.
as we go deeper into these philosophical questions, there's another theme that keeps popping up. Interconnectedness. From the 5D model to quantum entanglement to emergent complexity, it seems like everything is linked together in some way.
Right. It's a pretty mind-blowing shift in perspective. Instead of seeing the universe as a bunch of separate things, we're starting to see it as this giant web where everything is connected. Even our smallest actions can ripple out and affect the whole system.
It's like that butterfly effect we talked about, but on a cosmic scale.
Mm-hmm.
We're all part of this massive dance, influencing and being influenced by everything around us.
And that interconnectedness isn't just physical. The sources also talk about the spiritual side of all this, how exploring the nature of reality can connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
I was really fascinated by that part. It's like The more we learn about the universe through science, the more we bump into this sense of awe and wonder that's often associated with spirituality.
Yeah, it's almost like science and spirituality are coming together, each one shedding light on the other in these unexpected ways. Science gives us the tools to understand how the universe works, while spirituality helps us explore the meaning and purpose behind it all.
And maybe by exploring both the scientific and the spiritual sides of reality, we can get a more complete picture of where we fit in the grand scheme of things. So we've reached the end of our deep dive, and I gotta ask, what does it all mean for us? What's the big takeaway from all this?
I think the most important thing to remember is that we're not just watching reality unfold, we're actively shaping it. We're co-creators, influencing the world with our thoughts, our actions, our choices.
It's a pretty powerful thought, right?
No.
We have the power to make a real difference, to change the course of history, to be part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. And the tools we have now are more powerful than ever before. But that means we have to be careful, use them wisely and ethically with compassion.
So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to ponder. If reality is like this giant tapestry woven from infinite possibilities, what threads will you choose to weave? What kind of world do you want to help create? The choice is yours.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the fabric of reality. Thanks for joining us. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.